Was thinking recently about what exactly made the Brony fandom so huge. Was it the first time that adult males, have ever been interested in a cartoon series for little girls? No, not exactly. Lauren Faust's previous creation, Powerpuff Girls, was just as huge with the male fans of its day as My Little Pony is with the male fans of today. Is it the fact that it's on the internet? Not exactly, because there are tons of TV shows that are out during the internet era and their fandoms aren't nearly as huge. Is it the writers, the voice actors, and the music scoring? No, not exactly again, because there are other shows with the same writing crew, the same musicians, and the same voice cast, and they're not nearly as popular as My Little Pony is. I think it's the exact combination of all of those things put together. The fact that this is a little girls series that was previously completely intolerable and it's suddenly great is throwing people for such a loop that it becomes an extra special curiosity. If this had been the reaction to a original series like Powerpuff Girls or Adventure Time, there's no expectations of the show to outright suck. Like, we had expectations for My Little Pony to suck because of what G3 did to the franchise. Just like if we went to watch a Transformers series or a G.I. Joe series, we'd expect it to be awesome and have an appeal to young boys. If Transformers or G.I. Joe ever found a huge all-girl fan base, then that would be a bit of a surprise and a bit of curiosity to us, and that curiosity would draw more people into checking it out, because they'd wonder what all of the appeal was all about. As far as the second contributor to this, because it's not one contributor by itself, has got to be the fact that it's on the internet. Having the internet to help spread fandoms is definitely one way that a lot of TV shows and movies and video games and so forth get lots and lots of attention. If we had had the internet back in the 90s, we could have really super grown the fan bases for things like Gargoyles and Hey Arnold, and maybe have changed the public's reception of the series and helped grow the popularity enough that those things may not have been cancelled. But we have had the internet influencing fan bases before, and fan reactions to things like Thundercats and Young Justice certainly doesn't help it stay on the air. But the internet does help out things like Legend of Korra, which was able to go to airing episodes strictly on the internet, and it still got fans running to see those episodes. I think the extra contribution in this particular scenario is the fact that not only do fans react to it and analyze it and review it, but they also get to do so without being harassed by third-party content and copyright strikes and things of that nature. Since Hasbro doesn't care to harass the fans enough to pull the episodes off of YouTube, as is the case with things like Family Guy and South Park and SpongeBob, we are allowed to continue to put these episodes on the internet. My Little Pony is a very safe series to react to. There's very slim odds of having your episode pulled off the internet for copyright infringement. which technically they can't do with any series because commentary is considered fair use, but that doesn't stop people like Fox and Viacom from taking episodes off the internet the second they're uploaded. Now, My Little Pony seems to be right in that sweet spot of being able to get ignored by third-party claims and copyright strikes. This is also the case with other shows like Gravity Falls, which people also react to and build a fan base around and help grow that fan base, and then the series becomes aware of what the fans are saying and they use the fans' feedback in the episodes. When you have that kind of give and take relationship between the company and the fans, I think your series generally does better than if the property owners were strict enough to go after fans for every single little copyright infringement that they put online. And I think it's those things that I just mentioned that are the major contributor to the growth of the fandom. And I'm sure we've seen other things grow as fandoms without the use of the internet, without reviews and reactions and analysts, without the whole curiosity of it being a thing that's not acceptable for your current age or gender. We've seen the growth of Star Wars and Star Trek based strictly off of conventions and magazines. In fact, those things probably most likely started the whole acceptability of fan obsession and cosplaying and going to cons and all that other social interaction between people who love a franchise and are the minority amongst Americans versus the comfort of staying silent about the shows you like and sharing your love for sports or something more mainstream. The other factor that I mentioned, the writing, the voice acting, and the music, these are the things that should make a series great. Everybody always keeps talking about how important writing is to a series, how important voice acting is to a series, how important music is to a series. But they obviously don't hold a whole lot of weight, as there really isn't a huge fan base built around Strawberry Shortcake or Littlest Pet Shop or Pound Puppies or Dan Versus or any of the other major hub TV shows. So being owned by Hasbro isn't necessarily the big thing that draws audiences to the show. It's a very special combination of whatever it was that My Little Pony had. Even Wander Over Yonder doesn't have a massively, insanely huge fan base despite being made by Lauren Faust. Now some interesting stuff to think about as people debate over whether or not the fandom is currently still huge. A debate on what started the fandom to begin with and why it caught on like it did. I also have some questions for the comments. 1. What other TV shows do you think could have grown insanely huge with the fandom if had they existed at just the right time, with tools such as the internet to bring increased awareness? And 2, what shows out there that are for girls only or for guys only do you think would be very interesting if both genders, not just one gender, were ever to get interested in that series. What changes to that series would have to be made to draw the other gender in? In other words, what would someone have to do to Transformers or G.I. Joe to bring in the girl fan base? Or what changes would have to be done to Care Bears or Strawberry Shortcake to bring in the male fan base? And why don't these things currently have fans among both genders as of right now? And why don't we see massive, insanely huge, crazy internet fan bases with reviewers and analysts and reactors for other shows? There's a great deal of shows that I can never find reactors, reviewers, or analysts for. Hardly anyone gives their free time to watching, reviewing, or analyzing the likes of Scooby-Doo or Alvin and the Chipmunks or Ben 10. Anyhow, that's all of the thoughts I have to say for now. Thank you for watching and good night.